Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and today I am going to muck about in my art journal, the one that I made out of a cookbook, and I'm going to play around with some different products today. I'm going to do a background using these three colors of craft paint, and I'm going to apply them with my hand and do little things with that. And I've got some barrier cream on as well, although these are Craft Smart, so they're non-toxic paints. And then I have this new product, well, it's new to me, by Vicki Boutin. It's a glaze. I've got glaze and I've got an iridescent glaze. And I use those on another project to play with them. And I kind of like the results. So I think I might use those as well. And I might use those along with this new stencil I got from Mike Deacon. And I've got all my perfect pearls. I haven't used these in quite a while. So I'm thinking I might use these to tint this glaze and see what happens. So this is going to be an experiment, so I don't know what's going to take place here, but and I may edit out some of the parts of this video and I may speed other parts up, so we'll see what happens with it. Okay, so I have my three colors of paint here, and there's a purple, a light blue, and a kind of a tealy color, and I'm just going to apply these randomly on the pages, on these two pages. They've already been pre-gessoed. You can see some of the cookbook pages popping up through the gesso. And I'm just going to muck about with my fingers. I already have a little texture happening here, as you can see, because what I did was I had glued these two pages together, and I used a spray glue, and they basically wrinkled, but that's okay. I don't mind the texture. In fact, it's kind of neat, this texture that's coming up. So as I said, I'm just spreading this out, and I'm spreading it fairly thin so it'll dry relatively fast. And let's add a little bit of this shade. I have my little protective boards underneath my pages so that I won't get this onto some of my past pages and some of my future pages. And if you're just interested in what these are, I used to use wax paper, but after a while you go through a lot of wax paper. So these are just cut down placemats. Cheap placemats that I got at like a dollar store or Walmart. I don't remember which place I got them from. And the thing is, they're vinyl, so any paint or any gesso and stuff that gets on them, as it builds up, I can just take them, soak them in some water, and clean them up if I need to. This is my teal. I'm not even going to be too concerned about covering up all the gesso on this, because this is just my initial layer, and I'm just creating a background. And this is a little bit of a different color scheme from what I would usually use, but I'm really trying to break out of doing things always the same. Variety is the spice of life, as they say, so I'm trying to get in some variety. I'm just applying it. Now, I could probably take a baby wipe to this as well and just see what we get. I'm just removing some of the paint and spots, and I'm just creating a little bit more texture by doing this. Okay, clean a little bit of it off my fingers here. So there's the beginning. And I don't know where this is going to lead me to, but this is why it's all an experiment. Okay, so I got most of that off my hands, so I'm going to hit it with the dryer. And you don't need to watch this part of it, so we'll come back with what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I've got out a jar of this Vicki Boutin. I think that's how you say her name, Boutin. Iridescent glaze. And as you can see, this already has a shimmer to it. It doesn't dry perfectly clear. It sort of dries the milky kind of silvery color. So what I think I'm going to do is I've got out some perfect pearls, and I'm going to mix a little bit of the perfect pearls in with this, and then I'm going to apply it through this stencil and see what we get from that. So I'm just going to take a little out here on my palette knife and put it on my mat. And I've got my perfect pearls here, and I should grab another palette knife. Now the perfect pearls, I believe, has a bit of a shimmer in it as well, some mica powder. So it should give me a little bit of shimmer as well, but we'll see how well this tints. And it is tinting it. I want to get it mixed in there very well. And I'm wondering if I need to put just a little bit more. Maybe I will. I have all kinds of this perfect pearls stuff, and really I have not used it in literally several years. Um, I don't know if it's even popular much anymore. They still sell it, but I've just never really used it for much. That's kind of pretty. Let's make sure I don't have any grains of it. Okay, so let's apply it through the stencil. Now, usually what I do is I usually spray the back of my stencils with repositionable spray, and I did not do that this time simply because I forgot to do it. So hopefully not too much of this will go under. I have a bit of a raised texture on this page because, as I said, I glued the two pages together to make them a little thicker, and I used a spray glue, and that kind of wrinkled the pages. Down the road, I think I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to use the pages in like single pages instead of doubling them up, because I think when I apply the product, oops, I went right under the stencil there. Well, this is not going to be a perfect image, but that's okay. This is a stress look. I'm just trying to add texture anyways. So let's take a look. Does it look like a heart? Not really, but it's okay because actually it's still kind of cool. So maybe I'll put some more down here. Looks like I'll have to mix up some more though. So I better clean off my palette knife. Okay, so I should finish my sentence. What I was saying is that I'm going to, I did several pages in this book, put them together. I tried different methods. I even tried to staple two pages together. But I think for future ones, I'm just going to leave them as a single page, not worry about doubling them up, because I think once I get product onto them, they will stiffen up a little better. I wonder if I should try a different, no, I'm going to stick to the same color. Let's not get crazy. I have a tendency to overdo it when it comes to colors, so I'm just going to try to stick to these three basic colors that are sort of in the same color group with each other. So get that mixed in well. It is pretty though. Now I don't want this to be on too thick. I don't want it to raise up from the page too much because I am going to be laying down other elements on top. So I don't want too much dimension, but I do want texture. Okay. So now this is going to take a little bit of time to dry, and I may apply the heat gun to it as well. I won't make you sit through that, but this is my what I call my wipe-off journal, where I just take product that's left over and just slap it down. So I have a little of this left over, so and eventually this will become a journal that has lots of background pages, so I don't have to work the blank page and have that blank page syndrome. Okay, so I'm going to clean up this mess. I'm going to dry this and then I'll be back. So in my stash I found something that I've had literally for years. They're called Dabber Duos for stenciling and rubber stamping, it says. This one has royal blue on one end and lavender on the other, and they're kind of on a, they're almost like a marker. So I thought I'd give them a try, and I'm just putting them on this stamp. Now I tried the lighter one off camera and it didn't show up, but the dark one does. So I'm just dabbing it onto this textured stamp. This is a Stampers Anonymous stamp. And I'm just putting it down here, and it is giving me some texture. Hope you can see that. Now I have no idea if these are waterproof. Probably not. And by the way, this stuff, this texture paste, I've hit it with a heat gun for about 10 minutes, and it is still a little tacky. So I'm being very careful. That's why I'm not stamping too close to that area, because I don't want to smoosh it. Technical term, smooshing. So yeah, these, have quite a few of these. And some of them, like this one, has been unwrapped for the first time. I had never opened it before. So I don't know when I bought these. I do know it isn't in recent history, because I know that when I bought them, I probably bought them at a scrapbook store that is no longer in existence, that went out of business, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So that's how long I've had these. Kind of liking that though. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm keeping within the same color family. As much as I would like to break out of that, I am trying to hold myself back because I have a tendency to put way too much color on a page and I end up with mud. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. So this is something. You should go through your stash and look up some stuff you haven't used in years and try it again. Now, as I said, I don't know if this is water soluble or not. I will hit it with the heat dryer. But on this page, since I will be putting things on top of it that I'm going to use matte medium to stick down with, that's wet. So I'm going to, I may have to seal this page. I'll probably seal it with a workable fixative. I could seal it with clear gesso, but clear gesso goes on wet, and it does cause things to bleed. You have to be very careful when you're brushing it on. But if I use a workable fixative spray, Although the spray can reactivate products as well, since you're not using a brush with it, you have less chance of making major movement in your color. And maybe just to take this off of here so I can get into spots like this. I'm having too much fun with this. Okay, I think that's enough of that. So, yeah, so these are called Dabber Duos. Don't know who makes them. Say they're non-toxic, acid-free. Oh, they're made by Sukaniko. So I don't know if they're still available. I should look this up on YouTube, see if other people have been using these. Maybe these might have more potential. And they came in a lot of colors. I think I've got about 20 colors in those. Okay, well here's how we're going to see if these are water soluble now. We'll see how they react when I wipe them up. Oh yeah, they're definitely not waterproof, because look at how much of this coming off of the rubber stamp. So yeah, I will definitely have to hit these with the heat dryer. And I don't know if I'm going to add anything more to this background. I'm thinking it needs something to lighten it up. I'll have to think about that while I'm drawing it, but you don't have to wait for that to happen. I will stop the video here and come back in a moment. So I'm thinking this page needs to have some white added to it to lighten it up just a little bit. I got out my Posco paint pen and I'm going to get it juicy, and I'm going to splatter some dots on it. I already experimented over here, but I've got this big pad of newsprint underneath here, some paper towels around on my keyboard, because when I do splatters, they tend to go everywhere. So I'm just getting this running, and then I'm just flicking it. I just want to break up the color a little bit. It's a little easier to control, if you can control splatters at all, using this as opposed to a paintbrush. However, having said that, I don't seem to be, I wonder if this thing's running dry. Of course, I could do it this way too. Oh, well, geez. If you just want to draw dots, do it this way. Less fuss, less mess. And pretty much about the same effect. Well, you learn something new every day, don't you? That's why this is an experiment. Okay. Still like flicking. Okay. All right. Actually, I would like some of these lines like I got out of over here by not having so much luck getting that effect. Really trying hard not to wear it. May not have a lot of luck with that. Okay, that's enough. Stop. Stop while you're ahead. Okay, I'm going to dry this. Then I'm going to spray it with a workable fixative to protect the products under here that are water soluble. And then I think it's time to work on my images and pieces that are going on top of this. Okay, so what I've done is I've sprayed the background pages with this, which is a matte finish by Krylon. Does have an odor. There is one you can get that's a low odor as well, which is a little better, I think. But I grabbed it first thing that was on my shelf, and I just gave it a light coat over top of that, and that should keep everything waterproof. Now I've let this sit for about a half an hour and to dry thoroughly. And while it was doing that, I went through my stash of images to decide what I'm actually going to put on this page. And a little bit of a glare on there, just trying to get that off. So I have a combination of things here. Some of these are digital prints from Mike Deacon, and some of these are from the Tim Holtz Paper Dolls collection and from his Layers collection. And so I've done this together. Now, I had in the back of my head when I picked the colors that I used in the background, this particular image here. The other images are all in sepia tones for the most part, so they'll go along with this not too bad. Now, I've got out my archival ink, and this is sepia. And what I want to do is I just want to go around the edges of these pieces just to get rid of the starkness of their edges and to make them maybe pop just a little bit from the page. So I'm just going around with an ink applicator and I'm going to do this to all of the pieces because you do have a white edge that is maybe not all that noticeable once it gets down onto the page. But I just like to do that, just antiques things a little bit more. So I'm going to carry on doing this, and then I'll be back in just a second to start gluing this all down. And I think I may have to take a picture of this layout so that I know where to put the pieces when I start the layout. So I have finished going around the edges of all my pieces with the sepia ink, and I also did the edges of the pages as well, just to give them some background and or to make them stand out a little bit more. And I also took a picture with my cell phone of the layout, so I'll use that as a guide for where to lay down my pieces. So I'm using gel matte medium right here for this and a brush, and I'm just going to move this over just a hair so I can put this on the back of each of these. And these pieces are fairly substantial in thickness, so I think I only need to put one layer down. In other words, I'm not going to put it onto the surface that's here. So I'm just checking my diagram to see approximately where this is supposed to go. So it goes right there. And I guess I lied, I did put some gel down underneath, just to make sure that it's all glued down. And these These ladies are next. These pieces from the Tim Holtz collection are fairly substantial. They're on really thick cardstock. And you'll see that my background colors are not running thanks to that workable fixative, or final fixative. That wasn't actually a workable one, that was final. Okay, these ladies want to slide all over the place. Maybe I should put some down onto the surface, so I think I will do that as well. Just checking here on the phone again, we're approximately and I'm putting the matte medium on top as well as a sealer. Now I'm going to have a little problem here. I can see this right now. That one did not want to stick very well. So yes, I am going to put matte medium then down on both the back of the piece and onto the surface where I'm going to be gluing it down. I really like these Tim Holtz paper doll pieces because they've got a real vintage style to them, for one thing. And as I mentioned, they're on very, very thick, glossy kind of paper or cardstock. I'm not sure what you would call it. But I think that they really add something to a page. Of course, like Tim, I love the distressed and vintage look. So these definitely attract me. And we just got the little doggy to go on. You get quite a few of these in a package as well. I think there's over 100 pieces. And the price line or price range is pretty good. I think they were $9.99 Canadian at Michael's, and if you got a coupon, even less. Okay, let's see what else goes on this page. Okay, we've got this. That's going up here. Now, I could have done the edges of these in Tim Holtz's Distress inks, but the one thing I find with those is, of course, they're water soluble. So when you do what I'm doing right now, that color will come off your on your edges. So I use the archival ink instead from Rangers, which is waterproof. So you don't have as much of a chance of things of smearing color where you don't want to smear color. I mean, that can be an interesting look when you've done it, and I have done it before, but you don't always want that. Now, this particular line of text was actually another one from one of Tim Holtz's collections. I'm not sure which one this is called, but what I did was I backed it onto one of the Mike Deacon digital downloads and just cut it out. So I've got a little bit of dictionary text running around it, just to give it a little bit of a pop. Now let's see what else we've got. This one is going right here. It's a good idea to take a picture when you first do your layout before you glue it down, so you'll remember where pieces are supposed to go. because if you're like me, your memory is short. Okay. Butterflies are going up here. And the last one. Now, because I have that Vicki Boutin glaze that I put through the stencil under here, I do have an uneven surface, and it does make these a little bit more difficult to glue down, but they're coming quite nicely. Okay, let's move our way over to the next page. Now, the reason I'm putting it on both the back side of the piece and on the page itself is to avoid wrinkling. But as I said, most of these pieces are on fairly thick cardstock, so I don't really have to worry about wrinkling too much. I don't usually worry about wrinkling anyways because I find that adds texture, and especially when you're doing a page that's going to look distressed and it's in layers anyways, I just think that adds a little bit more dimension to the page. But you do want to make sure everything gets glued down well. So it never hurts to have a little bit more than a little bit less when it comes to this, at least in my feeling. This is one time when you can say less is not more, more is less. Is that what that means? Okay, I'm not sure. I'm just rambling now. Lately, I've been getting more into these digital images of Mike Deakins and others for putting on my pages. I used to kind of think that might have been a little bit of cheating, but not really. And these images from Mike Deakin, he comes out with a new set every month or so, and I have them all. I love them. And the price is extremely reasonable. Where do my girls go? They go down here. He is in the UK, but because they're digital, you don't have to worry about paying any shipping or anything like that. And as soon as you paid for them, they're instantaneous. You can download them right to your computer. And Mike gives you complete permission to use them in whatever way you wish, which is great. And they're reasonable in price. Like I said, about £1.50, which in Canadian dollars that works out to about 225 to 40, something like that. Depends on what the current exchange rate is, but really quite reasonable. And usually there's at least 3 separate sheets of various elements. They all seem to fit together on a theme. And they're just really great. Can't beat the price. And the stencil that I used today too, I think I did mention it, but I'll mention it again, where I put the glaze through the stencil. That stencil is one of Mike's as well, and he's got some great stencils. And I think I own all his stencils too. Again, very reasonable price. Now, of course, with those, they have to be shipped to you. But his shipping is a flat rate, and I think it works out to, I think it's 5 something pounds, so it's about $7, $8 our money. But I don't think that's unreasonable Now, I'm trying to check. I've lost my image here on my phone because my phone shut down. Okay, there. That's not it. There it is. If I get it to turn the right way, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, so where am I putting? Oh, yeah, this one's going down here at the feet of these ladies. You'll notice these ladies and these ladies are the same except in different size. And that's the Tim Holtz paper doll collection, and he has repeated images but in different sizes, which is kind of nice. And this last piece is going up here. And there we have it. I just need to dry this, and I can call this done. Okay, I'll be back once I have it dry. Okay, my pages are all dry now, and this is all done. The only thing I have left to do is I'm just going to give it a spray again with that final fixative. And then once that is dried, I'm going to go over this with Dorland's wax, and that will keep my pages in this journal from sticking together. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will have more in the future, I'm sure. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.